Losses are uniform on 0 to 450. Policy has deductible D, and the expected value of the unreimbursed portion of the loss is 56. Calculate D. So if X is the loss and Y is the unreimbursed portion of the loss, then when the loss is less than the deductible, all the loss is unreimbursed, right? When the loss is less than equal to the deductible, uh, all of it is unreimbursed. So then Y is equal to X. And when loss exceeds the deductible, then the portion that is not reimbursed is the deductible. So Y is equal to D when X is greater than D. And since X is uniform on 0 to 450, so the PDF of X is 1 over 450 between 0 and 450. And we are given that the expected value of the unreimbursed portion is 56. So E of Y is 56, but E of Y is negative infinity to infinity, YFX. And Y is equal to X when X is between 0 and D. So Y gets replaced with X, and F of X is 1 over 450. And then Y is equal to D when X is greater than D. So Y gets replaced with D. Remember, this was Y gets replaced with D when X is greater than D. Greater than D means D to 450, right? 450 is the upper limit for X. And the PDF is once again 1 over 450. And that whole thing is equal to 56. So the integral of X is X squared by 2. 1 over 450 is a constant. And here everything is a constant. Remember, D is deductible, and X is the dx is the variable. So it would be more helpful if instead of calling the deductible as little d, we had called it as capital D, so that we don't confuse it with the d of the dx. So let's change it to capital D. And this would be uppercase D. D. Right, that way we don't confuse it with this dx. Okay, so uppercase D. Okay. So the integral of, so 1 over 450 is a constant, D is also a constant. And so the integral is just X, and X goes from D to 450. So here, when we put in the limits, X gets replaced with D, so D squared, and the 2 gets multiplied with 450, that's 900, and the lower limit is 0. And over here, 1 over 450 is a constant, and when you put X is equal to 450, it's 450D, and when you put X equals to D for the lower limit, it's minus D squared. And so now when we make the common denominator, or you can think of multiplying every term with 900. So when every term is multiplied by 900, this 900 goes away and you just get D squared. When this one gets multiplied by 900, 900 divided by 450 is 2. So 2 gets multiplied with both of these. So 2 times 450 is 900D, and minus 2D squared. And when 900 gets multiplied with 56, you get 50400. So this one simplifies to this. You take the D, so D squared minus 2D squared is negative D squared. You take it to the right, and similarly, you take the 900D to the right, so you get plus d squared minus 900d, and this one is already there. So that stays positive. And these two factor into d minus 60 and d minus 840. Now, if you don't see the factoring, then of course you have the quadratic formula. So the deductible cannot be 840 because the loss is uniform on 0 to 450, which means that the maximum loss is 450. Oh, it makes no sense to have a deductible that's exceeding the maximum possible loss. So D is equal to 60 then, and that was choice A.